Hey folks, welcome to Market Technical Analysis by InTheMoneyStocks.com, your leader in pure technical analysis, avoiding all that Wall Street hype. Well, today, Tuesday, April 22nd, 2008, and as we go into today's market, I really want to focus in on what we're expecting in the near term and maybe in the intermediate term. And those of you guys that know us well know us that we've called many of these major market moves, if not all of them, almost as precisely as can be expected from even a crystal ball. Now, we don't have one, by the way, folks. I'm not going to try to BS you on that one, but we do read the charts. We read time, pattern, price. We read psychological levels better than anyone out there on Wall Street. And I do encourage those out there that are institutional players and individuals. You know, we try to spread out evenly. Come join the consulting services and get us on board, because once these videos do go away in the not too distant future, we will be filling up fast and even faster with consulting for the hedge funds and the other funds out there and our institutional partners. So again, we won't leave everyone else in the dark, though. Don't worry, there will be something that we will put out in a certain aspect. So let's get right into today's market, folks. And I want to touch on today's market. And I know this video is being posted a little later than everyone's used to, but we had a lot of meetings to go to today and consulting to do, so we had to take care of that, obviously. Now, today the market saw a little bit of a pullback. And those of you that know what we've been expecting have expected this alongside with us. You guys know we've had the monster move up in the markets over the past couple weeks. We've mentioned in yesterday's video, and this is key, that a majority of that move is in the markets at this point. The majority of the rally, as called by InTheMoneyStocks.com, is in the market. There should be one more small push up, maybe another day or so where the NASDAQ jumps 40, 50 points. But it is getting towards the end. This is not the point where you're stepping up to buy if you hadn't bought for the rally already. This is the point where you're going to sell into the profits and take profits possibly on the next move if you haven't already. And again, we look at the intermediate term. Our focus is 4 to 6 to 8 week time period ahead of us. That's what we see, and that's why we've been so successful in calling it, because we can read the chart patterns as precisely as anyone we've ever come across out there. Now, the NASDAQ dropped by about 31 points today. The Dow was down about 105, while the S&P fell 12 and a quarter. Overall, as we said, you got to expect a pullback. We've had a monster move in the market. There's way too many bulls out there. The psychological levels are getting high again, and you just had to have a pullback in the market. So that's what we saw overall in the daily chart. Looking at the intraday, you can see exactly what happened. You started the market generally up here early in the morning. This is around 7 a.m. New York time, Eastern time. And what you saw was a pretty substantial sell-off most of the day till about 1 o'clock. In fact, right around 12:30, 12 o'clock, you really saw an even more substantial drop in the markets. But the beauty of this chart is that it points out one of the best technical patterns in this market. And unfortunately, the day ran out before it could play out in the technical setting. But what you can see here, folks, is you have a beautiful W pattern. I mean, it's just as good as you get. Look at the double bottom. Double bottom right there. It's a buying, we even called this in the chat room that it was a beautiful buy off the double bottom. Look at the maneuver you got, the move up in the market on the ES here. And this applies to the SPY and the NASDAQ and all the rest. They all look the same. We're just using this chart to play out the intraday. So really what you wanted to do, if you took one position on the day that you knew would be a sure bet or as close to a positive trade as you could have, and obviously we always keep a stop, but this would have been the buy right here in the afternoon off the double bottom, W pattern formation, and we'll see if that plays out. Usually we don't go into anything more than the intraday, but right now the futures are trading up just slightly, about 2.5. Doesn't mean a whole lot for tomorrow. Tomorrow we do have some major earnings from Apple and Amazon, and the market will key in on those Apple earnings. And I can't stress how much that's going to mean to this market, especially technology. So keep a close eye on Apple after the bell tomorrow as they report earnings. Amazon will also have an effect, but Apple's obviously bigger here. And taking a look at the daily, and I want to move away from the intraday now because the daily is really where the bread and butter is here about where we're going in this market. What you guys can see here, and here flipping to the daily of the SPY, is that we're getting that pullback. Here's the move up. Now you're having a pullback. And you got a little wick underneath on each of these candles, and a lot of people would say, well, that shows that every time the market's down, it rallies back. That's true. We don't hold a lot of weight in that. Some people look into that a little much, I think. But really what you're just looking for is you had this maneuver, this big move in the market from here now to here. That's a big time move. You have to have a pullback. We would guess that you definitely already have had a nice little pullback here on the daily chart of the SPY. You've had really a 3-bar pullback. 1, 2, 3. The question now will be, do we see a pullback to the 20 moving average and the 50, which is possible, or do we have that last little leg up that we've been expecting? And that's what we're going to focus in on. And if we're going to have it, we're really looking at it happening over the next few days to a week. All right, we're looking at a turn signal in the market for another possible move lower. Now, it's not going to be a huge move lower at this stage. We haven't found it. The charts aren't showing us that. It's not like we're going down here again. We could sell off pretty hard, though, but whether or not we hit a triple bottom or not that's a little too exaggerated at this stage. We could change that should the chart patterns and every analysis technique that we use, the proprietary stuff we develop, should that show us, then we'll alert you guys immediately. But as of now, the question is, do we pull back here before our last little move up, or do we consolidate more and then make that last move up? And that's what we're watching for. I think a lot of that will come out over the next few days as Apple reports earnings and so forth, because the key there, guys, is that the markets are setting up. They just need the catalyst. So the charts tell us what's going to happen. It's just what happens. Is it a Fed rate cut? Is it this? Is it that? And that's what causes the reactionary move. But the charts will tell you it's coming. It's just what causes that move. And maybe it's Apple's earnings. I don't know. We never play earnings, and I stress that over and over again. We never do. But Apple did have a nice pullback today. And you guys know, those of you in the chat room know how we think of it anyways. The more a stock pulls back into earnings after a nice chart, the more we like it going into earnings. Now, it only had one bar pullback, and still this is, look at the move on this thing on Apple. And by the way, we're looking at Apple's chart. So there's really no way of telling. But it will be interesting to note this chart as it's had a monster move up. And this was a very scary chart to play because you could have a big fall in Apple where it goes down here, or it's pulling back already, so maybe it blasts up here. It's a very tough one to play, and obviously, as we always state, we do not play earnings because you either take a big loss or you make a big money, and more often than not, you lose. So, as we like to play our sure bets, which are our proprietary analysis techniques used on charts and indexes, and as you guys know, they've been working out like gems, and that's because the analysis is secure. We've come up with some key things that no one else really knows out there, and we put them to good use. So I do encourage the institutions and individuals that want to learn, get on board before these videos stop, and contact us for consulting, as we will be looking to do some major deals with some funds out there. All right, so let's just go back to the NASDAQ chart. I want to briefly touch on the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ daily is setting up the same way. You're seeing a little bit of a pullback here after that big move up that we had there. And again, we're pulling back into some support lines, which you can look at being right in here. You see the tops cutting right through. You also have the 20 moving average on the NASDAQ and the 50. Now, they're spreading apart, so this is no longer a necktie. Neckties are much more solid support, but any way you cut it, the 20 and the 50 are good support. In addition, you have, let's take a look here. You have a decent support line right here, which is coming underneath. And you can draw these trend lines, and I'm just looking at this chart off the top of my head. I don't rehearse anything in these videos ahead of time. I just kind of spew it as it comes. So in any case, focusing on those support lines, but it all seems to be a good support right around this 20 and this 50. Although, again, you're just looking for a chart pattern that dictates this, and our proprietary analysis is telling us that we are setting up for one more move up. Whether or not it goes up in that range or not, we don't know, but we could be setting up for one more pullback and then a push, or we'll have to see. But either way, it's going to be interesting, guys. Very, very interesting. So that's about it for today. I just want to focus in. And there you guys see, I just switched to the intraday NASDAQ, and remember the W pattern on the intraday. Here's the NASDAQ intraday W pattern. Not quite as nice as the ES. The ES really had a firm double bottom. This didn't really have as good a double bottom. But in any case, folks, I hope everyone had a wonderful day. We're going to be back in the chat room, rocking it hardcore and making money again in the chat room tomorrow. Come join us. Come join the E-Mini swing trade alerts, obviously, options alerts, and get on board for the consulting. That's going to be the big thing, folks. So I wish all the best. Let's see where this market takes us tomorrow, and we'll talk to you all tomorrow's video. Should be out at normal time. We'll see you then.